What if Frodo had never destroyed the One Ring? What if, at the very edge of Mount Doom, he claimed its power instead of casting it into the fire? In this epic alternate Lord of the Rings story, we explore a dark, chilling scenario. Frodo Baggins, transformed into the new Dark Lord of Middle-earth. Discover how this single choice reshapes the fate of Sam, Aragorn, Gandalf, and every kingdom across Middle-earth. A tale of betrayal, corruption, and unimaginable power, where the smallest hand changes the world in the darkest way imaginable. Now take a deep breath, and let's go. The winds of Mordor are not like the winds of any other land. They are heavy, poisoned with ash, carrying the stench of fire and ruin across plains where nothing grows. In the heart of this blackened realm rises Orodruin, Mount Doom, its peak forever vomiting smoke into a sky already broken. And within its fiery veins lies the birthplace of the One Ring, the cursed object that has shaped the fate of all Middle-earth. Forged in the fires of this very mountain by the Dark Lord Sauron, the ring is no mere ornament of gold. It is will made metal. It is desire given form, a prison and a promise, bound in a perfect circle that knows neither mercy nor end. Upon its surface, a single inscription burns when touched by flame. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all and in the darkness bind them. Words that are not poetry, but prophecy. The ring is power incarnate, and for ages it has passed through hands both noble and vile. Kings, warriors, wretches, all have fallen under its gaze, yet it has returned time and again, whispering its way back to its master. But this time was meant to be different. For the burden of its destruction did not fall upon kings or lords, but upon a creature who had never sought greatness. Frodo Baggins, a hobbit of the Shire. He was not born in fire, nor raised for war. His heart belonged to fields of green and hills of quiet laughter. The scent of pipeweed, the taste of honeyed cakes, the sound of a fiddle at twilight, these were his inheritance. And yet, destiny, in its cruelty, tore him from the simplicity of that life and placed upon him a burden no other could bear. He became the ring-bearer, but Frodo was never alone. At his side, faithful beyond measure, stood Samwise Gamgee, a gardener, plain of speech, stout of heart, whose courage grew not from ambition, but from love. Love for his friend, love for the Shire, love for the small, fragile things that make life worth living. Together, they walked through lands that broke armies and unmade nations, and yet they endured. Others walked with them too in those early days. The Fellowship, 9 companions bound by oath. Aragorn, the lost heir of Gondor, carrying the weight of kingship upon his shoulders. Legolas, prince of the woodland realm, his eyes sharp as the arrows he loosed. Gimli, son of Glóin, fierce and unyielding as the stone of his ancestors. Boromir, proud captain of Gondor, who fell to the ring's temptation and found redemption in death. And Gandalf, the grey turned white, a being of power clothed in mortal form, the guide who lit the path when shadows threatened to consume it. Through betrayal and battle, through snow and shadow, the Fellowship was broken, yet their cause endured. For beyond their personal quests lay a single, undeniable truth. The ring must be destroyed. Only then could the Dark Lord's shadow be lifted from the world. And so Frodo and Sam found themselves alone, climbing the very mountain that had birthed their enemy's weapon. Each step was agony. The ground seared with heat, ash clung to their throats, and the very air seemed to claw at their lungs. Their bodies were broken, starved and bloodied. Their minds haunted by the endless whisper of the ring, a voice that promised rest, relief, power, if only they would yield. The closer they came to the fire, the stronger its call became. The ring grew heavy, impossibly heavy, as if the weight of all creation hung upon the chain around Frodo's neck. Every heartbeat throbbed with its pulse. Every thought was poisoned with its hunger. Yet Sam's hand on his shoulder, Sam's voice urging him on, kept the hobbit from faltering entirely. And at last, they reached it. The cracks of doom. A chasm where molten fire seethed like the blood of the world itself. The heat was unbearable, yet it was not flame that consumed Frodo now. It was choice. He stood at the edge, the ring dangling before him. His hand shook as he drew it from the chain. Sam watched, his breath caught in his chest, his soul suspended on the edge of hope and terror. The world seemed to hold still, the armies clashing at the Black Gate, the eye of Sauron blazing atop its dark tower, the hopes of elves, of men, of dwarves, all converging on this single moment. If Frodo could cast the ring into the fire, all would be saved. Sauron's dominion would crumble, the world would breathe free again, but if he faltered, all would be lost. In this moment, everything converges. On Frodo's sweat-streaked face, on Sam's trembling lips, on the ring itself gleaming in the firelight, perfect, unyielding, eternal. The whispers grow louder. They are no longer whispers, they are a chorus. Promises of immortality, visions of power, the scent of green fields forever safe under his hand. Frodo's breath quickens, his heart races, his fingers curl tighter around the ring. The fire roars, the world waits, and in that silence the stage is set, for the story we thought we knew is about to change. The moment hangs in the air like a blade poised to strike. Frodo stands at the very edge of the abyss, the molten fire of Mount Doom raging beneath his feet, the one ring glimmering in his trembling hand. All of Middle-earth leans upon this instant, waiting, desperate, certain that he will do what must be done. But then, the silence shatters. Frodo's lips move, and a voice, no longer frail with exhaustion, but sharpened by resolve, cuts through the roar of the flames. "No, the ring is mine." The words echo as if the very mountain recoils from them. Sam gasps, his heart cracking open with horror. His cry, "No, Frodo, don't," is swallowed by the roar of the fire, by the laughter that now fills Frodo's mind. For in the moment he claims the ring, he ceases to be the hobbit he once was. The world itself shifts. Frodo slips the ring upon his finger and vanishes. The chamber groans, the mountain shakes, the fire leaps higher, as though bowing to its true master. Sam stumbles back, his eyes darting wildly, calling his friend's name. But Frodo is gone from sight, gone into the wraith world where mortal eyes cannot follow. There, in that spectral realm, Frodo sees shadows bowing before him, shapes without form, whispers without bodies. The ring no longer resists him, it embraces him. Its promises, once torment, now unfold as revelations. He is not a bearer now, he is a lord, but not all submit so easily. From the darkness leaps a figure twisted and starved, shrieking in wild hunger, Gollum. His pale eyes gleam with madness, his body propelled by obsession. For years, for centuries, he has hungered for this moment. His hands claw at the invisible Frodo, his teeth gnash, his voice screeches, "My precious, it's mine, it's mine." The struggle is savage, more brutal than any sword fight. Frodo, cloaked in the unseen world, grapples with the creature who knows the ring's will better than any living thing. Gollum bites, claws, scratching. Blood splatters upon the black stone. Sam watches in despair, unable to intervene, his cries drowned by the fury of Mount Doom itself, and then screams, one of triumph, one of agony. Frodo reappears, his face pale, his eyes aflame with power unnatural. Gollum lies broken upon the jagged rocks, his body twisted, his voice reduced to pitiful whimpers. He reaches once more for the ring, his hand trembling, but Frodo's gaze halts him. No blow is struck, no word is spoken, only the weight of Frodo's will. Gollum crumbles, defeated not by steel, but by the inevitability of his master's claim. Sam falls to his knees. The friend he followed across the world, the friend for whom he would have given his life, now stands above him, transformed. Frodo's small frame remains, but his presence fills the chamber like a storm. The air thickens. Shadows coil around him as though eager to serve. His eyes, once bright with innocence, are dark pools reflecting the fire below, and far across Mordor, the eye of Sauron blazes upon its tower. But what it sees is not victory nor destruction, it sees betrayal. For the ring has not returned to its master, it has crowned another. The Dark Lord falters, his will, once absolute, trembles. The eye flickers, burning with fury and a fear it has not known since the First Age. Sauron's essence is bound to the ring, yet the ring now bends to Frodo. The Master of Mordor feels his dominion slip like sand through his fingers. Upon the fields before the Black Gate, the armies clash, steel against steel, flesh against claw. Aragorn rallies the men of Gondor, his voice rising above the chaos. For Frodo! But even as his cry carries across the field, something changes. The orcs pause, their snarls falter, confusion spreads through their ranks. They feel it, the shift, the turn of the tide. Their master's will no longer commands them as before. A new power whispers in their ears, subtle yet undeniable, and it whispers a single name: Frodo. Men glance about in confusion as the tide of battle stalls. The orcs no longer surge with fury, but kneel, bowing their grotesque heads as though awaiting orders from a voice not yet spoken aloud. Silence spreads like plague across the battlefield. Aragorn grips his sword tighter, his heart racing as realization dawns. Something far more terrible than Sauron's victory has come to pass. Back within Mount Doom, Sam rises, his body trembling, his tears carving paths through the grime upon his face. "Frodo," he whispers, begging, pleading, his voice breaking. "It's me, Sam. Come back, please, come back." But Frodo does not look at him as a friend. He looks at him as a king might look upon a subject, as one who now commands the fate of nations. His lips curl into a faint smile, not of joy nor of cruelty, but of inevitability. The mountain quakes, the fire surges, the will of the ring sings like a choir of iron and flame, not in opposition to Frodo, but in unison. He has claimed it, he has mastered it, he has become it, and in that single terrible moment, the fate of Middle-earth changes forever. The world shudders beneath the weight of a new master, not Sauron, not the Dark Lord who for centuries has haunted the dreams of elves and men. No, this fate is darker still, for it was chosen not by a tyrant born of malice, but by one who was meant to embody hope. From the fiery chambers of Mount Doom, Frodo Baggins emerges. He does not walk as he once did, small and weary, his shoulders bent beneath the ring's burden. No. He strides forth, eyes alight with a terrible brilliance, his voice no longer trembling but resonant, carrying a power that bends stone and shadow alike. The ring gleams upon his finger, and the mountain itself seems to bow as molten rivers of fire still their roar in reverence. Sam, broken, stares after him, his tears falling into the ash. He does not recognize the figure that was once his dearest friend, and though his heart still beats with loyalty, it is also filled with dread. For Sam knows what the others cannot yet see. Frodo has not destroyed the ring. He has claimed it. Far beyond the mountain, the battlefield before the Black Gate has grown silent. Orcs, trolls, and creatures bred for war fall to their knees, their weapons clattering against the stone. Their yellow eyes, once burning with Sauron's malice, now glimmer with confusion, then reverence. They feel it, his presence. They hear it in their bones. A new master calls, and their allegiance bends like grass before the wind. Aragorn grips Andúril, his face pale with dawning horror. He had led his men to battle with a single desperate hope, that Frodo would succeed, that the ring would perish in the fire, ending the shadow forever. But now, as he looks upon the legions of Mordor bowing not to Sauron, but to another, he knows that hope has been shattered. For what victory can there be when the ring-bearer himself has become the Dark Lord's heir? In Minas Tirith, the White City, bells that once rang in triumph now toll with unease. Messengers ride with frantic haste, bearing tidings of dread. The ring has chosen another. In Rivendell, Elrond feels the weight of ages pressing upon him, his ancient eyes dimming with sorrow. Galadriel in Lothlorien, who once placed the burden of choice before Frodo, now gazes into her mirror and sees a future she had hoped never to know, a future where the light of the elves fades, not before the return of Sauron, but before the rise of one who was once pure. Even the distant halls of the dwarves quake with the tidings. Kings of stone whisper among themselves, "Will this new lord treat them as ally or as pawn?" For they know too well the hunger for power that corrupts even the smallest hand. And what of Sauron? In the dark tower of Barad-dûr, the eye flickers and writhes. For ages, he has poured his essence into the ring, his life bound to it, his strength inseparable from its fate. But now that bond is a chain turned against him. Frodo, a hobbit, a creature insignificant in the annals of great wars, has seized not only the ring's might, but Sauron's very essence. The Dark Lord is no longer absolute. His voice trembles in the void. His power falters. He is diminished yet not destroyed, for he is bound still, but now as a servant to his usurper. The Nazgûl scream into the sky, their wraith forms torn between two masters. Their shrieks echo over mountains and seas, sowing terror among men, yet also confusion. They circle, falter, and at last they bow. Not to Barad-dûr, not to Sauron, to Frodo. And so it begins. A new reign, one not foretold in song or prophecy. The Dark Lord reborn, but not in the form that sages feared. A hobbit, small and unassuming, now wields dominion over the very will of Mordor. But power, once claimed, demands to be used. From Mount Doom, Frodo raises his hand. Across the plain, orcs rise from their knees, their chants echoing like thunder, "My lord, my precious, my king." And in that sound, a new order takes shape. Aragorn's men falter, despair flooding their hearts. Legolas lifts his bow, his keen sight piercing the haze, but even he lowers it, stunned by the enormity of what has come to pass. Gimli mutters a curse beneath his breath, his warrior spirit burning with defiance, yet his hands shake. Sam alone does not bow. He clutches his chest, whispering to himself, clinging to the memory of the Shire, to Rosie's smile, to the sound of wind through tall grass. He whispers because he must believe even now that some fragment of Frodo remains. Yet in his heart, the doubt grows. The world begins to bend. Armies that once marched against one another find their banners meaningless. Or control kneel beside man and elf alike, compelled by a will stronger than fear, stronger than loyalty, stronger even than hatred. Frodo's presence reaches into every corner of Middle-earth. It whispers in the depths of Moria, across the seas to distant lands, through forests ancient and seas untamed. The earth itself groans, for the One Ring was never meant to be wielded so completely by any hand, not even Sauron's. But Frodo does not flinch. He listens, he learns, he commands. In the Shire, a shadow falls. Fields once golden lie under a sky grown dim. Hobbits pause in their merriment, their hearts heavy, though they know not why. They feel it, their kin has changed the world forever. And while no black rider gallops their roads, no orc darkens their doors, an unease settles over every hearth and every song. For somewhere deep within, they sense their innocence has been stolen. The elves prepare to depart, their ships upon the shores of the west. But now they fear what awaits them if Middle-earth falls not into ruin, but into the dominion of a being neither wholly evil nor wholly good. For Frodo was not bred for tyranny, yet the ring bends all intentions into its singular purpose, domination. The Ents in Fangorn murmur in sorrow. They do not move to war, for what war can they wage against one who holds the will of stone, fire and shadow alike? They bow their heads, their long laments drifting like wind through dying leaves. And what of Frodo himself? Though crowned in shadow, though obeyed by legions, his heart is not untouched. At times, in the silence of the night, the whispers of the ring pause, and he remembers. He remembers laughter beside a riverbank, a birthday beneath lanterns, the taste of strawberries. For a moment, his hand trembles. For a moment, the weight of all he has lost presses upon him. But then the ring sings again, louder, stronger, reminding him that memory is weakness, that the world is his to shape, his to claim, his to command. And so the hesitation dies. The last light dims. Middle-earth has entered a new age, an age not of Sauron's terror, but of Frodo's dominion. And the world may yet learn that the smallest hand can change the course of the future, but not always for the better. The age of hope has ended. The age of shadow has begun. Samwise Gamgee is the first to fall, not by blade nor by fire, but by the shattering of his heart. He follows Frodo down the blackened slopes of Mount Doom, his every step heavy with despair. Again and again he calls to him, pleading, begging, reminding him of the Shire, of gardens, of home. But Frodo does not turn. When at last Sam dares to step before him, to bar his path, the new Ring Lord gazes upon his dearest friend with eyes emptied of tenderness. One command whispered like the sigh of a storm breaks Sam's resolve. Kneel. And though Sam's spirit screams in defiance, his body betrays him. He falls to his knees, weeping as unseen chains bind his will. In that moment, Samwise the Brave, who once carried his master up the very slopes of doom, becomes the first servant of Frodo's dominion. Aragorn, son of Arathorn, king of Gondor, does not yield so easily. At the Black Gate, as orcs lay down their arms before the new master, he raises Andúril high. His voice bellows across the plain, "Men of the West, stand with me." For though his heart is torn, though despair gnaws at him, Aragorn will not surrender his people to tyranny, not even to one who was once his ally. But courage cannot hold against power absolute. Frodo descends from the mountain as armies shift to his command. His form is still hobbit small, yet his presence towers like a colossus. Aragorn charges, blade gleaming, the hope of Númenor burning in his veins. But Frodo lifts a hand, and the king halts mid-stride, frozen, caught like a puppet in invisible strings. Andúril slips from his grasp, clattering upon the stone. "Your line is ended," Frodo whispers, not with malice, but with cold inevitability. And Aragorn falls, his crown unclaimed, his kingdom swallowed not by Sauron's malice, but by Frodo's silence. Gondor kneels, its banners lowered in surrender to a ruler who never sought a throne, yet claimed one beyond imagining. Legolas of the woodland realm, keen-eyed and fleet, sees the unraveling. His heart burns with sorrow as he beholds Frodo cloaked in shadow, a being neither wholly hobbit nor wholly wraith. The elf prince strings his bow, arrow drawn, the memory of countless battles steadying his hand. He whispers a prayer to the stars, those same stars that watched over him for centuries, and looses the shaft. It never finds its mark. Frodo lifts a finger, and the arrow turns to ash mid-flight. Legolas drops his bow, eyes wide with horror. His spirit wavers, for even the immortal cannot stand unbroken before such power. His songs will not be of triumph, but of mourning, the lament of an age undone by one who was meant to save it. Gimli, son of Glóin, roars with fury, his axe gripped tight. The dwarf charges not with hope of victory, but with defiance, the pride of his people burning like molten steel. Yet even his rage falters when his axe shatters upon an unseen barrier. Frodo does not even raise his hand. A single glance reduces the dwarf's courage to silence. Gimli staggers, broken not by wound but by futility. And in that silence, he kneels. And Gandalf the White, the wizard, bearer of flame, servant of the secret fire, stands apart as all others bend. His staff blazes, his eyes burn with the fury of ages. "Frodo!" he cries, his voice echoing like thunder. "This is not your path. Cast it aside." For Gandalf knows that even now, within the Ring Lord's heart, a fragment of the hobbit he once guided still lingers. But Frodo's gaze meets his, steady, unyielding. The path was never mine, Mithrandir. It was always the rings. They clash, not with sword nor flame, but with will. Light against shadow, wisdom against desire. For a heartbeat the air trembles, the earth groans, the battlefield holds its breath, and then the light falters. Gandalf staggers, his staff splintering in his grasp. The Maya's strength, great though it is, cannot match the one ring in the hands of its master. Frodo steps forward, his voice like iron wrapped in velvet. Even you cannot stand against me. And Gandalf, sorrow etched into every line of his ancient face, bows his head. Not in surrender, but in mourning, for he knows the truth, the hope of Middle-earth is gone. The world bends to its new lord. Gondor lowers its banners. Rohan rides no more. The elves hasten their ships to the west, not in triumph but in retreat, fleeing a land lost to shadow. The dwarves seal their halls, swearing oaths in silence, their songs hollow echoes of defiance unfulfilled. And in the Shire, word trickles home, a name once spoken with love. Frodo Baggins becomes a name whispered with fear. The party tree withers. The Brandywine grows dark. Hobbits who once danced and sang beneath lanterns now huddle in silence, their laughter stilled by a shadow that reaches even into their quiet land. The ring has not been destroyed, it has triumphed. And through it Frodo has become not a savior, but a lord eternal. The Nazgûl circle him as wraith knights. Orcs chant his name. Even the stones of Mordor seem to tremble in obedience. The eye of Sauron burns still, but dim, its will bound, its essence enslaved to Frodo's command. The Dark Lord is undone, and in his place stands another, smaller, yet greater, a paradox of ruin. Sam lingers near him still, silent, hollow-eyed, his loyalty twisted into chains. Once, he would have died for Frodo out of love. Now he lives for Frodo out of compulsion. His heart breaks anew each day, but he cannot break free. He is a gardener still, but no longer of gardens. He tends only to despair. And so the tale ends, not with victory, but with dominion. The fellowship is broken. The free peoples are no longer free. The light of the elves fades. The songs of men fall silent, and Middle-earth enters a new age, an age not of Sauron's tyranny, but of Frodo's reign. Upon a blackened throne forged from the stone of Mount Doom, the ring upon his hand gleaming with eternal fire, Frodo Baggins sits, not as hero, not as hobbit, but as lord of all. And the whispers, once faint, now thunder as a single voice across the world. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. The prophecy fulfilled, the world forever bound. The smallest hand has changed the course of the future, but in the darkest way imaginable. If you don't want to miss more epic what-if stories, dark alternate endings, and deep dives into your favorite movies and sagas, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Join us and never miss the next twist in the tales you thought you knew. See you in the next video.